I could go to a CVS and fill my prescription. I could go to another CVS and just go fill that same prescription. So there was nothing. It's kind of like, and I'm crazy that this is a real thing, but there was no database saying that this prescription was filled. But not just that, it was actually the doctors. So I could go to 5 different doctors and get the same prescription for multiple things.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So you could print money. All right, guys. Crazy story for you guys today. Teddy Tarantino. Thanks for coming on, my guy.
No problem. How's it going?
Good, man. Man, on drugs since 10 years old.
Pretty much, yeah.
What was the first drug?
So I consider alcohol to be a drug.
Okay.
So alcohol is probably the first thing I ever did.
So that's what, 4th grade?
I probably got drunk for the first time in like kindergarten.
What?
Yeah.
That's like 6.
Yeah.
So you were...
So, I mean, like, I was at a family party. So like Hispanic culture, parents were drinking and I snuck off and just started drinking some wine coolers. But I did get drunk.
Wow.
But I didn't really, but that was like a one-off instance. I wasn't like drinking every day.
Okay.
But yeah, I got drunk for the first time probably in like kindergarten.
It makes you wonder if it affected your brain development, drinking that
Dude,
early.
that's the least of it. So I would imagine that my brain development has gotten pretty up from drugs at a young age.
Wow. Have you ever done a brain scan?
No.
I'd be so curious to see yours.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, but I don't know. I've been clean. I also got clean young. So I got clean at 17 too.
Oh, wow.
But I remember when I was on drugs watching a documentary about addiction and they were doing brain scans on people. And the most interesting part was they would flash pictures and the pictures would be so fast you can't even see them.
Yeah.
And when they would show a thing of crack, like a vial of crack, the person's brain would go crazy.
Whoa.
And this person was clean like years, haven't done crack in years. And their
Holy crap.
brain would go nuts. And I remember like being on crack at the time. I was like 14, 15 and being like, damn, I'm never getting clean.
That's
like,
nuts. Yeah. The subconscious is powerful, right?
Yeah, the brain's crazy.
Holy crap. So crack at 14. How did that happen? Was it like...
When I'd get into anything, like really get into it, like most addicts are like that. Some people become addicts later in life. I was just always obsessive and, you know, I didn't have anything I was into. And once I got into drugs, I like really got into it. So I like dissected every part of it, the culture and selling it, weed. And then weed led to, and then when I was selling, eventually you run into someone who cooks it. And then I was selling to this guy who lived in a crack house. And he smoked crack, but he doctor shopped. So that's also how I got introduced to painkillers. So he was doctor shopping for Oxys and Roxys and had all the prescriptions you can want, but he just sold those. He had been on before and he got off of it. So his only thing was crack. And the first time I saw it, I was like, I'm never, ever, ever going to try that. That's crazy. And then you see it a couple more times and...
Get normalized?
Yeah, you kind of gets normalized. And I tried it. And the first time I smoked, I knew I would struggle with this for the rest of my life.
Whoa, the first time?
Yeah.
It was that good?
Yeah, I never bought powder ever again. And I knew that forever I would always want to do this.
Jeez. So what's the difference between...
Man, I guess it would be like, I'm really into cars. So it'd probably be like driving fast on the street versus driving on the track.
Okay. So you're faster? Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, you think you could push your car on a road, but until you track your car, you really don't know what your car can do. And then it's just way more intense.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's doctor shopping? I've never heard that.
Oh, really? So back in the day, there wasn't a database. So if you gave me a prescription for Oxys and Roxys and Klonopin, I could go to a CVS and fill my prescription. I could go to another CVS and just go fill that same prescription. So there was nothing. It's kind of like, and I'm crazy that this is a real thing, but there was no database saying that this prescription was filled. But not just that, it was actually the doctors. So I could go to 5 different doctors and get the same prescription for multiple things.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So you could print money.
Yeah. So back in the day, I mean, dude, if you weren't on drugs or on pills, I was like, bro, we're getting you an MRI. We're going to the emergency room. Like, because if you don't know the game, I could get a piece of it. So I would teach. I was also under 18, so I couldn't even get my own script without my parents present. So my hustle was that I would try to get people to get a script or fill a script. And then you would go to multiple doctors, and that was doctor shopping. And then you would go to like a lot of these mom and pop places that they just look the other way.
Yeah, like sketchy pharmacies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all these big ones end up buying those, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. I mean, the pain clinic industry was crazy back then. People who owned those made millions and millions of dollars.
Is it still like that now, you think?
No, because now you're not really gonna make tons of money like that because now they have that database. But now what people do is they just get people to go shop for them. So I'll get like 5 homeless people to go and do that for me and bring me the thing. Not homeless people, but sometimes, you know.
Wow.
So they get people to doctor shop for them. But now they're more strict. But it went from Oxycontin, then they stopped doing oxys or selling them at the pharmacies, or it was hard to get them, to Roxy's. Then it went to Dilaudid, and then it just switches to a different drug.
Yeah.
So if they say we're not going to do Roxy's anymore, then people just start doing fentanyl. You know.
Damn. So that's where it's at now. People are just doing fentanyl.
Now it's like straight fentanyl, and that's people's drug of choice. So there was a time if someone got fentanyl in their or whatever, they'd be like upset. Now they like want that.
What?
Like they want fentanyl. They want. Yeah.
Can't you die easily off that?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's like Russian roulette right now with fentanyl and the epidemic. And they put it in like I've owned drug and alcohol rehabs for years, and I had a client who went to the gas station, bought a dime of did it at the gas station and died.
Whoa.
And there was fentanyl in his they put it in everything. It's crazy.
Holy crap. So when you're in rehab, you can leave?
Well, this kid graduated.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Damn.
But, yeah, there's different levels where people get jobs and they're an outpatient or something.
Yeah. What's the level of people that come back to rehab once they're in? Is it like prison? Because prison's like 80%, right?
I always compare it to the gym. How many people sign up to LA Fitness and then freaking don't get in shape?
Right.
You know, so I would probably say the national average is single digit success rate.
Wow.
So you're talking 8, 12, or 8% or 10% or lower. My treatment center for years, we were at like 15%.
Oh, wow. So
which
double.
Is double the national average. And that really just goes to because we have long-term care. The only real statistic of like who makes it and who doesn't that is like a fact is the longer time spent in treatment, the better your success rate. But that's also more money for the insurance company, so they don't really want to, use that type of statistic because they have to dish out more money.
So they probably only want you there for like a month, right?
Dude, they're fighting you every day.
Really?
So when you go to drug rehab, they don't say, hey, you're approved for 30 days. They say, what are you using? How long are you using? Okay, you could go to detox 4 days.
That's it?
Then on day 4, you got to call the care manager, and then you have to negotiate more days and be like, he's not doing well, he still has these symptoms, or he's still symptomatic, or he's whatever. So then they'll give you, okay, 1 more day. So maybe you'll get 5 or 6. Then when you go to a lower level of care, they'll give you 10 days. So they give you days at like a clip, and then you have to negotiate with the insurance company. And then most insurance, if you have really good insurance, will cover you for 30 days. But I would say out of all the insurance out there, there's probably 20% that cover for a luxury, nice drug rehab. Most of them are going to send you to a county-funded place or a state-funded place.
Yeah, and yours was a private place?
Yeah, we were like private high-end luxury. So we were like the top of the top, which is also the hardest because insurance doesn't want to pay for that.
Right.
There's some insurances that would look at our website and be like, oh, this is luxury. We don't even.
Damn.
Like just because it was luxury, they'd be like, you don't need any of this. Just go to the hospital.
So you're probably dealing with a lot of known people and high-end ballers and stuff.
No, you would think so, but you can work. Your mom can work at Kmart. You can have good insurance.
Oh yeah.
So you can have good insurance just based off having a decent employer that offers a good health care.
Okay.
Right? So there are actually people who have tons of money who have really insurance.
Yeah.
And just because you have good insurance doesn't mean it's good for substance abuse. So your substance abuse benefits could be crap, or your policy just doesn't have that coverage.
Yeah. I'm in that boat because like self-employed insurance is tough to find good ones, So I have to pay a ton for it.
Yeah, for insurance.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, I don't even like Western medicine anyways. Like, why am I even paying $1,000 a month for this?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Or insurance, South Park just did an episode of like the American insurance industry. It was so funny.
It's such a scheme, right? I mean,
the insurance company is like the mafia.
Yeah, no, they're
they make up their own rules and they pay whatever they want to pay, and then it's like it's crazy because there's no black and white. Like, if this happens, this is what we're gonna pay. Yeah. It's like you submit a claim and then they like
you got to debate,
and then I've had siblings on the same policy and one pays 50%, one didn't pay anything, and then you got to fight it, and then whatever. I mean, it's really it's sad because these people have insurance. They've been paying for insurance. They should be insured.
Yeah,
you know?
and they got the best lawyer. So if you can't afford a good lawyer to fight
not
it,
just that, if you really get into it, they'll be like, okay, we're gonna stop paying you until this is done. So then you won't take any more of their, you can't take any more of their clients or whatever.
holy crap.
Yeah.
And you built your rehab center to 20 million in revenue a year?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Was that one place or was it like
no, multiple locations? We had like 5 locations at one
Holy
point.
crap.
Yeah.
That's huge revenue. And this was back in the day too.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. I mean, I left the company about a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I didn't even know until the other day. But the other day, one of my employees was like, yeah, we had 200 employees. Like, we had 200 employees? I thought we had like
Holy
130.
How were you able to scale that quick?
Man, a lot of that's actually slow in treatment. There are people who scale 10 times that.
Oh, really?
Dude, I mean, to me, we were like modest growth and strategic. And there are some people who do they got into the drug rehab business and went full fledged, and a lot of them failed. The business has gotten worse and worse every year just because insurance don't want to pay, and it's so competitive and saturated. But I thought that was like that pace. We grew, but I didn't think it was like dangerous growth. A lot of people, they like filling the beds is the hardest part. So a lot of people would be like, well, if we build it, they'll come. And I've seen so many places
Empty.
expand and not be able to. When we were growing 20 beds at a time, 15 beds at a time. There are some people who they'd have 50 beds, they'd open up another 200 beds.
Jeez. That's
yeah.
too fast.
Yeah, and it's like care goes out the window. It's like these are people's lives. So it's, staff in a facility takes a long time because even though you have good staff, it takes like a year for you to get a good core staff. I don't care who you are because, it just takes a while for you to get those solid
chemistry,
people. Yeah, the chemistry of a facility. But a small facility could have 60 staff. So even though 200 seems like a big number, we started out with 60 employees.
Wow.
So one center is at least 60 employees.
That's crazy. I didn't know that much went into one center. 60 employees.
Yeah. Yeah. Your overhead at a small treatment center could be $200,000 a month.
Jesus.
Without marketing.
And if you're not filling the beds at least 50%, you're probably losing money.
Oh, at our facilities, if we're not full more than like 75%, we're breaking even.
Wow. So you got to be like 80% plus full.
Yeah, just to make a little bit of money.
And the turnover is high. So you got to constantly be.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
is that why you left?
The business is really crazy. Like I'm a different owner than a lot of owners. A lot of owners, like, they just care about the money and whatever. But like, dude, I ran group at my treatment center every week for like 6-7 years.
Group?
Yeah,
What's
so
up?
I would run a group. Like,
Oh, a group.
Yeah, so I would like bring in a speaker. I would meet with the clients. Like, I knew almost every client's name. I would talk to the families.
Oh, wow.
So I was like pretty involved. A lot of owners, after they get off the ground, they're not really even going to the facility. They're staying at the corporate office. And it's like, dude, I was really involved. And it's like, man, I've probably been to like, how many funerals have you been to?
Only like 2, actually.
How old are you?
27.
Yeah, I'm 33. I've probably been to like 50.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So you go to your patients' funerals?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in recovery myself, so it's like half of those are my friends.
Damn.
Maybe more. I've probably been to like 100 funerals.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
so
33.
it's like, it's tiresome. If you work in treatment, you can almost work anywhere because it's 24/7. It doesn't close. There's no business hours. You're picking up people from the airport. There's people trying to leave at all different times. You're talking to the family. You're dealing with a disgruntled population. I mean, you're dealing with people relapsing, wanting to come back. You're dealing with, stopping them from sleeping with each other. Like they're pranking each other. Like it's like, it's like a crazy summer camp hotel hospital.
Yeah. So that stress was just too much for you.
I think I really loved it for a while, but there was a time where, dude, like the deaths and the overhead, and we were expanding and making the same money every year. So we would double in size, and we were making more money 3 years ago.
Wow.
So it's like the industry was just so difficult, and dude, some people are still crushing it and killing it, but a lot of people are really scaling back and hurting.
Yeah, I've had 2 owners on the show. Eric Spofford, if you know him.
Oh yeah.
I think he sold his.
Yeah, I think he sold his in like the height. So, like so when he first sold, dude, if I would have had what I had back then, I'd probably be making 5 times the money.
He had a 9-figure exit, I think. Something crazy.
Yeah.
And then Chad Carlson.
Not familiar.
He has one in Cali, but yeah, his is smaller. But yeah, that makes sense why your recovery rate was double the average because you were hands-on.
I was hands-on, and we had a lot of scholarships. So usually if someone runs out of insurance, their insurance is going to cover them for 30, maybe 45 days, 15, 20 days of outpatient. We had graduate houses where you could stay there indefinitely.
Wow.
So I've never even heard of a facility that would do this, but you could stay in a graduate house indefinitely. And our first graduate house had 10 beds. All 10 of those clients were clean 2, 3, 4 years.
Damn.
Because, it's just like, when you're in the military, you're surrounded by like-minded people. If everyone's waking up and going to the gym, you're waking up and working out, So it's like when you are in a safe environment, your chances of staying clean are so much higher.
Yeah.
And then it's when people leave or they get their own place. And I'm not saying you got to live in a halfway house forever, but statistically, if you stay in a halfway house for like a year, you have a twice better chance as someone else who immediately goes back to their old place.
That's cool. And insurance doesn't cover that though?
No, that was just cash pay. We charge like $120 a week in rent, and they would just stay there. But if they stayed clean, they don't have to leave.
Wow.
So I think.
So you were drug testing them?
Yeah, absolutely. So even though they're in this aftercare, some of them had years clean. They're still getting drug tested. They're still having like a house meeting once a week. So there's still structure, there's still curfew. And some of these people just loved it. Like when you would go to their rooms, it was so weird because usually at a halfway house, people are trying to get out of there. Our houses were so nice that a lot of them during COVID, bro, you couldn't go rent a place for $100 a week anywhere.
Yeah.
So when you would go to their rooms, dude, guitars on the wall, pictures of their family, like they decked it out.
That's cool.
Because they want to stay in that house. It was a nice house. Most sober livings were in like whole areas, or sober livings were like nice houses. So a lot of them, they were like, man, I'm never going to leave here. Like they didn't want to up because they knew,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hard to find a place like that.
What was that moment at 17 for you? Was it a specific incident that happened that made you like stop?
So people always ask me two questions, like how I got on drugs and how I got off.
Yeah.
And I got on drugs because someone taught me, someone showed me, someone introduced me, someone piqued my interest. And it was the same thing when I got off drugs. So I started going to 12-step meetings. I'm like a super hardcore 12-step person. And it's like when you start to go to meetings and you're surrounded by thousands of people who have gotten clean and their lives are just so like interesting and like you're just blown away. It really inspired me and made me feel like I could do this forever. And like one day, like the switch flipped. Like I remember I was like, I don't know if I could stay clean. I still want to get high. And I was just like, I'm young, whatever. And I'll never forget, I went to this one meeting, this guy, Ray Googs, was speaking. And dude, this guy was a addict for like 30 years.
Whoa.
Lived in Washington, D.C., homeless. And he was probably 55 years old. And I'll never forget, he said he had 5 years clean. And he said he was working on his second bachelor's degree. And he said, this time next week, or this time next year, I'll be going to law school.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, I just couldn't, like, you just don't hear about stuff like that. And then I started following him around. I would just see him, and like, he wasn't full of and he actually ended up working for me at the treatment center for years.
Nice.
And actually became a lawyer. And you just hear stories like that, and dude, it just started to change how I thought about getting clean. And I wanted to do drugs because drugs were like crazy. But like what was even crazier was like being clean. Like what if I didn't even drink or smoke or anything? Or what if I did get totally 100% sober? And I was like, that would even be crazier,
Yeah.
So yeah, like I went from being the kid who like everyone in school was like, dude, that kid smokes crack, like get the fuck away from him, to like being someone who like doesn't drink, doesn't party, none of that.
Wow. Total 180. Were you a big adrenaline junkie?
Still am.
Yeah. So you just had to find a healthier.
Yeah, I think my first 3 years clean, 4 years clean, like I really practiced like the part of your brain that has like the braking. So like, dude, I just believe that like I just never had that. Like I never had a slow down button. I never had like a consider the consequence button. Like if it felt good, I wanted to do it 1,000 times, And I really like my first probably 5 years clean. Like I didn't go to strip clubs. I didn't go to clubs. I didn't socialize with other people that weren't in recovery. I started reading tons of self-help books. I got introduced to like yoga, and it's like I didn't even know how to be a kid.
Wow.
So like my whole story is that like I just wanted to be cool my whole life. Like I just wanted to fit in and be with the older kids.
Yeah.
I was always lying about my age, and I was always driving when I shouldn't be driving and leaving the house when I shouldn't be leaving the house. I couldn't follow rules. And it's like I really had to learn that like all my shortcuts were actually holding me back.
Damn.
Everything I try to do to like cut the line, ended me up in a handcuffs, you know?
Wow.
So I really had to relearn just to how to be with myself, you know?
Yeah, that's deep, man. So you had to grow up quick.
Yeah, I had to grow up quick, but I also like regressed and like I also learned how to like ride a bike. Like I remember
At 17.
Well, yeah, because I knew how to ride a bike, but when I was in 7th grade, I was selling and I was going to parties and I was like hanging out with people in college. So when I used to see little kids in my age riding the bikes, I'd be like, you guys are losers. And I like when I first got clean, one of the first things I did was bought a bicycle. And I used to bike and I got into biking. I started going to spin class.
Wow.
Like I used to think like, bro, you're going to spin class? Like you're you know, loser. And it's like I really had to like relearn to do things that I used to think were like corny, you know? And I got into biking. Like I still go bike ride, you know, like I learned how to like be myself, you know?
Yeah, it's easy to form those beliefs to fit in with a friend group. You start like hating on certain people, you know?
Yeah, especially when you're young, everyone's competing to be cool. And like, you know, all my friends, I thought we were so cool. And like literally like 70% of the kids I grew up with are either on or in prison.
Damn.
You know?
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a nice area.
Wow, that's ironic, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in a really nice area called Davie, which, you know, you have like $1 million homes and then you have trailer parks. It's like, just because you live in that area doesn't mean you have money or you don't have money, but it's a big like, I don't know, diverse town.
Yeah.
And dude, there's just so many kids there that were just so bad. Like in that area, I'm sure Fort Lauderdale in general, we had the most pain clinics in the country.
Jeez.
Broward County had dispensed more medication, painkillers than other states combined.
Holy.
So like that town was just like everybody started doing opiates.
Wow.
So like you would go to a party and yeah, you would see a kegger and people smoking blunts, but you'd also see people doing Oxycontin like it was nothing. So,
damn.
You know, when Oxycontin started to go away, people started to do Dilaudid. And Dilaudid, yeah, it works if you eat it, but you mainly shoot it. So then these people are shooting pills now, and then they're shooting and then, you know, they're heroin addicts. So,
Holy crap.
like, all my friends that I grew up with is crazy. Like, they all got addicted to IV.
And you said a lot of them ended up dying too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've probably been to like 100 funerals.
Did that like numbness, like, did that ever stop?
So when I was using, it never really bothered me because when people would die, I would like be like, oh, well, it was a girl. She probably like weighed 90 pounds and did an Oxy 80 and just couldn't handle it or something. But when I got clean, it started to happen more and more. And then, man, it's like when you're using, you have no feelings, like you're totally numb. And then when you get clean, it's like the opposite effect.
Wow.
Like I started crying watching the Publix commercial, you know, like I just started to have so much emotions and then like feel attached. Like I never felt attachment to people. I never really had like friends. And then I start making friends in recovery and they start relapsing. Now I'm like worried about them. Now I'm like, this is what my parents went through, you know?
Yeah.
And then it comes around full circle and then like, do they die? And then you're like, you know, it starts to really affect you. And at 9 months clean, the first kid I ever sponsored was my childhood friend and drug dealer. Last time I had seen him, he was selling pills out of like a Motel 6 and people are shooting up on the bed. He was selling pills. He was with this lady who was smoking crack. Fast forward, I'm clean like 9 months. I'm speaking at a rehab. And I remember he was like, yo, I know you. And I I didn't recognize him because he lost so much weight in jail.
Yeah.
And I started sponsoring him. And dude, he died of an overdose.
Oh.
So I was 17 and this kid died of an overdose and my first sponsee ever. And that's when I was like, damn, like we really are. Like in recovery, like they give out chips because symbolize that you're gambling with your life. And it's like, damn, we really are. Then fentanyl came out. Fentanyl didn't come out for like 2-3 years after that. So when fentanyl came out, man, I think right now, like 120 people die a day.
What?
Of fentanyl overdose. Yeah.
That's insane.
It's like 70,000 people a year.
Holy. That's in the U.S. or worldwide?
No, it's in the U.S.
Wow.
So it's in the U.S. So before fentanyl, the number was like 30,000.
Wow.
So a number has doubled since fentanyl.
That's crazy.
So like while we sit here and do this podcast, someone will overdose and die.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. These days, you got to really test the drugs if you're going to even take them.
Yeah, no one does that. You know? It's like no one's testing their drugs. You know, there might be like a small percentage, but it blows my mind. Some people like, dude, their drug of choice is fentanyl. They're looking for fentanyl. They're not testing it because they want the fentanyl.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What did you transition to after this? I know you did some adult industry stuff too.
Yeah, so like I've always been into like like sex and drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like when I got clean, like I kind of had this like perspective of like anything adult is like bad, and there's a lot of like Christian people in recovery, so like I kind of like never really talked about it or whatever, but I've always been like promiscuous. And even in recovery, that's like not a good thing to be promiscuous. Especially your first year, maybe your second year, but like your first year, you should probably like chill out.
Yeah.
Which I did. And then like as I got older, like I just got like more interested in like, I think at like 21 or 20, I went to like my first swingers club. I went to a swingers club and like, dude, I had never seen this in my whole life. I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this went on like in America. I was like blown away that this is even legal. And I went to my first swingers club and like blew my mind. That's when I got like introduced to like the idea of polygamy or like open relationships. And I started to become like really open-minded. And when I was 22, I had a friend who had like a big male escort agency. It was like one of the only straight male agencies. And I remember my friend could like never stay clean. And I would tell him like, dude, it's probably because you're doing this escorting. And then he got clean and we became like closer and friends. And I remember he was like, yo, I need you. I was like, for what? He's like, I need you to like hook up with this lady in Miami and she's going to pay you. And I was like, dude, I'm not hooking up with no old lady. And he was like, who said she's old? And I was like, she's not old. And he sent me a picture of her. And I was like, dude, she's hot. And then I was like, that girl's going to pay me? And he's like, something like that. And I went down there and it would be like her sugar daddy would pay for guys to hook up with her. She would be blindfolded. It would be like,
what?
Yeah, it'd be like 20 minutes. And he paid me $3,000.
Whoa.
So the first time I got like $3,000, he's not in the room. He like walks out and like waits in the living room. And he just does this as like a treat for them.
Whoa.
And he told me that she thinks that we're paying her. Or like, you know, I don't know what I didn't ask a lot of questions, you know? And I would do that like a couple times a month. And dude, that was like an extra $9,000 in my pocket. And that's when I started to like really see like this other world of like, you know, escorting, and it was fun. And then my friend, Alex Adams, shout out, he's #1 male ever. He has like billions of views, most viewed.
I never heard of him.
I know most people have, because he does POV, so you never see him.
Oh, okay.
You know, but if you watch his stuff, you're like, oh, I've seen this guy before.
Okay.
So he like really is like the king of like the step brother thing, which that genre just like took off.
Yeah.
But he has billions of views. His name's Alex Adams, but you probably have like he's not like on social media big. He plays video games, but dude makes millions of dollars, killing it. And back in the day, I used to think like people who do adult entertainment don't make any money.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially men. So I saw him go from like, and he's also sober or clean. He's in recovery a long time.
Nice.
So I saw him get clean, start his like little film company by himself with $1, nothing, you know, and go from like Toyota Corolla to like multiple McLarens and Rolls Royces.
Damn.
And at the time, he was super successful. I was making money, you know, I was already like a millionaire. I was your age, 27, and I asked like, how does it work? And dude, he like showed me like the ins and outs of it, and I posted my first video. And I would not show my face because I'm still like the CEO of this company. And dude, none of my videos were getting any views. And you got to get views to like make money.
Yeah, the ads, right?
Yeah. So I was like, what am I doing wrong? So I was like, he does a lot of like talking, you know? So then I started to talk in them, and I got like the #1 video in 2018.
No
December.
way.
Yeah.
Holy
my
crap.
videos started making so much money. And then I was like, oh my God, it's going to take off. And then people started recognizing my voice. So then I was like, dude, I can't own like a rehab and do this.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I really am super loyal. And like, dude, I didn't want to screw over my business partners. And like, you know, drug rehab is such a sensitive thing. Like, no one wants to send their daughter to a rehab that's like owned by a guy who's doing adult entertainment. People don't take. I'm also super young. Dude. I started the treatment center at 25. So like, a lot of people already didn't take me that seriously. So I overcompensated by being like super professional. Like, man, we just did things like by the book, you know? And then when I left the treatment center, I started posting my videos. And I didn't realize that because of COVID, so many people had got into that industry that it was kind of what happened with my alt industry. It was so saturated.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to make all this money. And the videos make like a little bit of money, like on OF and stuff like that, and like a little bit like on X videos and stuff like that, but not like I imagined. So, you know, I listened to one of your podcasts and you're saying like a lot of my success is like timing.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I've had success. I've also have done a lot of things that didn't work out because of timing.
Same.
You
Yeah,
know?
I've definitely had my share of those too.
Yeah.
Yeah, OF is hard for guys too, I heard.
Anything adult is hard for guys, you know, because 99% of the clients are men.
Right.
So it's like,
And you don't do gay content, so it's even tougher.
yeah. I mean, if you did any type of even sus content, you know, I know a kid who like, he makes like sus videos.
What's that?
Well, he'll make like a TikTok of like him and his friend doing something borderline gay.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do anything gay like on camera, but he'll send like solo videos to guys. Like I've had guys ask me for like, I had this guy offer me like $1,200 for my underwear.
Damn.
And I was like, one, like I don't need the money that bad.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't even feel right sending my underwear to like another man.
I feel that.
So it's like, but I did ask him like, how much would you pay just to see? And I just like kept upping it. And he was like, yeah. And he like said he'd pay up to $1,200. I was like, no,
Holy
I can't.
crap.
Like I just couldn't do it.
It's tempting though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like if I really needed the money, but it's like, dude, I'm already successful. Like I don't really need the $1,200 that bad. So I was just like, nah, I don't feel comfortable doing it, you know? But I don't know. Like I refuse to do any of that. Even like when some of the men like message the OF page, well, like when they're clearly interested in me, I'm like, I just can't do it.
I feel that. You got to hit up Adam 22.
Yeah.
Do a little collab with Lena.
Yeah.
That'll skyrocket your numbers. Jason Love, I heard, made a ton off that video.
Yeah, so he made a ton of that video because that was like the first boy girl that she had did, and because he's just a giant black dude and they're white and interracial, stuff like that just pops off. But like even with like podcasts, so imagine this. I'm sure so many people are like, oh, if you get this guest on your show, it's gonna pop up.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
No, it's not like that.
It's not like that at all. Like I had a podcast for a long time, Hell Has an Exit, and dude, we would pay big money for a lot of guests.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would help, but it wouldn't. So a lot of people think like in the adult industry, oh, if you shoot with this person, you'll blow up. It's not really like that. It's kind of like you just have to keep pumping out good content.
Facts.
And dude, I've shot with some girls that look like the girl next door. They're not like the most attractive looking girl. They're very average looking, and they will do way better than like a superstar girl that everyone knows.
Wow.
I've shot with girls that they only did that one video with me, and everyone wants to see more videos of them because they're not known.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, like it would be cool to do something with Adam 22. And, but it's like, that's not a game changer for your career.
That's relatable though, because with the pod, I'll have on huge celebrities sometimes and it won't get as many views as just a normal guy.
Dude, I remember I saw a podcast with one of like my favorite artists, and it was
Mike
horrible.
Posner, right?
No, I saw his on yours.
Yeah,
though.
but that only got like 10K and I'm like, holy
really?
like Mike Posner, like
Wow.
I should have gotten 100K.
Yeah, I love him, and I'm such a fan. He's like one of my favorite people just because like I followed his whole like trek to Everest and like all of like
it was dope. His hike across the country.
Yeah, his story is so cool, but I just think that, I mean, I was surprised that it got 10K. I actually haven't listened. I was trying to listen to it today. I was like, I wonder if it came out yet. It's out.
Yeah, it's out. Yeah, but I was like, damn, because
Yeah, he's such a huge name.
Yeah, and then,
I think people don't know him, like, because like I'll tell people like, oh, you know Mike Posner, and people are like, no, and then you play his song.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah.
But I'm also like a big Black Bear fan, so I just
that's
like,
a good one too.
Yeah, so
I want to
like
get him
his
on.
music. Yeah, but it's like you would think, and then even if it does go crazy, I had videos get millions of views on TikTok, and it's like, dude, it's not bringing in a ton of money. It's not. I'm not Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So even with the podcast, like I stopped doing my podcast because, dude, I probably put like 500 grand into my podcast.
Dude, most podcasts lose hella money.
I was
so unprofitable for 6 months. The first 6 months.
I've been unprofitable like 3 years.
Well, I never paid guests, so
Yeah, I never. Well,
That's
I
a
was,
dangerous
I
game.
was paying guests. I had like a whole team. We were pushing out ads, and not just that. Like, we never ran ads. So I know like
sponsors.
Yeah,
yeah, you need to.
I know. I was just like, dude, I don't want to do ads.
That's how you offset everything, though.
I know, and it's just like, and then we would do ads, and we'd make like $500.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but
It's
it
not-
offsets all the like
Yeah.
filming costs in studio and all.
I was flying, you know. So after a while, I was like, you know, I want to do something else. So
yeah. Don't start a pod to make money if you're watching this, guys. You're not gonna make.
yeah. And originally, I didn't. You know,
Yeah.
I did it just because I loved like having people's stories on there. It's like an addiction podcast. But then eventually, I was like, well, let me throw all this money at this and see what happens. And I was like, that.
Yeah, I feel that. So what are you working on now then?
I'm really trying to come out with my books. So
Oh yeah.
since 17, I've been keeping a diary. So I have like 40 composition books and
Wow.
probably like, I have Word documents of diaries that are so big that you can't even open it, like crashes.
Holy crap.
So like I've been keeping a diary for literally 16 years.
So every day you writing it?
Not every day, but every day for probably 4 years,
Nice. Yeah.
maybe 5 years, almost every day. And then after that, I've kind of like did it once a week, every 2 weeks. Sometimes I would go a couple months without writing, but I would update like my whole life. So I had it up for a while, and honestly, it like makes me so uncomfortable reading my old writings. It's like, just like, this kid is so but like in my mind, like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to see that stuff. Like, I would imagine anyone reading their old diary kind of like super cringe. But I did put it out like before I had the treatment centers, and there are people today who still know me from that.
Wow.
But I just love helping like addicts. So like whether I do the podcast or not, I'll always kind of do something creative to like spread that message.
Yeah, I'm sure you get messages daily.
Yeah.
You've saved probably hundreds of lives indirectly that you don't even know about.
I get so many DMs all the time. I just got one the other day. Someone read it to me that runs the Instagram page, and it's like, dude, I get so many people who are like, bro, I had no idea that recovery was even a thing, because where they live, when they go to meetings, it's all like older people. And he literally flew down, went to South Florida, started going to meetings, and is clean like 3 years, and he did the podcast.
Wow.
So it's like, you know, we've had like people that are like podcast alumni who like they started off as listeners, they were using, and now they have years clean.
That's cool.
So yeah,
that's inspiring, because that's relatable, you know?
For sure.
Yeah, that's super cool. Teddy, where can people find you and what you're up to next?
You can find me at teddy.tarantino, and Twitter, I think it's just Teddy Tarantino. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
We'll link below, brother. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you, bro.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, see you next time.